And we are live
It's a happy apps.
to Monday night, Tuesday. Why do I think it was Tuesday? That's kind of weird. It is Monday night. Welcome to On the King's Dime. How good does it feel, Andrew?
Five and zip. Five and zip.
5 and
Feels pretty
0.
good, man. Feels pretty good.
What a fantastic start of the season. It almost feels like I wasn't expecting this to start the season. I was just quietly confident, kind of thinking, yeah, this team might be all right. A lot of people started out this season sort of going, the Kings have to be, have to have 22 wins and be in the finals this year. Like, this is the year for the Kings. And I was like, yeah, pump the brakes a little bit. Like, new coach, new system. Who knows what's going to happen? Yet here we are, 5 and 0 to start the season. It feels pretty good.
It's good. Although I have to say we have been playing kind of the trash bag of the NBL.
That's true, actually.
We have not come up against Melbourne. We haven't come up against Perth, and we haven't come up against Southeast Melbourne. So these are all going to be fantastic tests for us going forward and to see if we actually are a title contender. Obviously, Perth being I think the strongest out of that pack. I think Melbourne's probably a bit weaker. Obviously, no Casper Ware. Not really a Mello Trimble fan. He's okay, but he's not Casper Ware, even though Casper Ware actually hasn't been playing that well. But I definitely think that Perth is the test after they absolutely trounced Southeast Melbourne.
That was an absolute drubbing, eh? Like, we'll just talk quickly about what's happening around the league because I don't think we've done much coverage of what's happening around the league. We've kind of been really focused on the Kings to start the season. But, man, Melbourne United look a bit...
They look terrible.
Don't know, man. It's like you take out... Like Boone was obviously like a bit of a kind of lamppost in their offense. Like, didn't really need touches, didn't really need to do anything. You throw a guy like Sean Long in there, suddenly it's like, he has to get touches, and you're just like, no, get out of Goulding's way, get out of everyone, get out of Mitch McCarron's way. Like, get out of the way. I just don't like
a
it.
lot of paint slashes and a lot of guys that have to function in the paint, and they're just lacking one or two outside shooters. Casper Ware doesn't have to really function in the paint. Mello Trimble has to function in the paint a bit. He's not that kind of mid-range scorer, so it kind of doesn't make sense to have this fully crowded paint situation with not a lot of outside shots. I mean, saying that, Chris Goulding's still pretty good, but maybe they'll find their form. But they're I mean, I think they're trouncing the Hawks. Are they playing the Hawks currently or no?
Nah, Taipan's close game, a couple of points in it, just after halftime. But Melbourne feels like we've got to move heaven and earth to fit Mello Trimble in, and Mello Trimble's kind of like an isolation, give me the ball scorer, which was like Casper Ware last year. So okay, that kind of works. But then it's like, we've got to fit Sean Long in. And you're like, it doesn't fit, man. You've already got like two guys that you got to give the ball to, and then Mitch McCarron and Barlow as glue guys. Like, I don't know, man. Doesn't, like, when Pledger comes off the bench, you're not expecting him to score the ball in certain situations. So he's actually been playing like probably one of their better bigs because, you're not expecting him to take the ball and do things on offense. He kind of just gets the ball and just puts up these like really lanky jumpers, and he's hitting him pretty well. So Perth, scary, man. They're looking scary again.
Cotton's looking MVP material. Yeah, they just got a good team. Nick Kay, Tariq White. You can't really say much more. They're a bit of a weird loss to the Taipans, but I'd definitely say, they're on the right track to being our biggest competition this year. But around the league, obviously, Aaron Brooks, we've found out the news today that Achilles is gone.
Yeah, so man, that sucked too.
That is the Hawks season well and truly over.
Was it already kind of not looking that great for the Hawks, man? Like, I don't want to be the one to sort of say it, but just didn't look great to start the season, and it hasn't looked great to, in the first few games. I'm not sure. Kind of Mello seems a bit like tries to be really flashy, yet wants to be low key and not get in everyone's way. And sometimes I'm sitting there going, just take the ball and like take over, and he doesn't do it. And then, with Brooks going down, I feel like there's an extra guy there that, a superstar guy they're really going to miss. If they give the keys to Mello, maybe it might make something happen, but I don't know, man. Hasn't worked really for them. And they're bigs, like Boone, like I said, like is a bit of a lamppost on offense. And then Ogilvy like lost all this weight and now tries to back guys down. And you're just like, yeah, but you're no longer like 110 kilos, man. You're like 98 kilos. Is really struggling to back guys down in the paint and struggling to score around the basket. Like, it's just kind of a weird situation.
Yeah, it's a club that is not kind of got a lot of money and is waiting to see if they can get some injury cover from the league, I suppose, with Brooks, and maybe they'll be able to pick up a cheap import from around the traps.
The other one we should talk about is the Phoenix, because we're going to play the Phoenix. Like we'll tie this in that we've got a couple of the big games coming up. The 5-0 start's great. You know, we looked really good against some of the lower teams, like expected to be lower teams this season. We're coming into a big run now. Like this is where it's going to test our bottle, and I think Southeast Melbourne Phoenix will be an underrated sort of team. I think they're a team we're probably likely to beat. Perth and Melbourne, not so much. So I would be happy to kind of, if we drop points anywhere, or if we drop wins anywhere there, like against Melbourne or Perth, I'd be all right with that. Although you always want to beat Melbourne, no matter what.
Yeah, you want to beat Perth. I think that this team is deep enough to go fairly hard run into the mid-season. In terms of like wins, I think we haven't had any injuries, or we've had our injury run, it seems, to begin early the season. Bogut with his ankle, Lazada with his back. He's coming back looking pretty slick.
Yeah, what about Kevin Lish? Like we talked about at the start of last week's pod, where we were like, oh man, you know, this is kind of strange that he's out. You know, we didn't see the injury, and now bam, 2 months out. Oof. You know, lucky we're winning games, man, and lucky we've got that guard depth and that guard rotation, because last year if we had a cop of that, it would have been way worse than it kind of ended up.
Sean Bruce is actually a pretty crafty little guard. I was quite surprised. I thought in the preseason, it's like, ooh, but he's a crafty little guard, can step into the 3-ball and not bad on defense. Like rotates quite well. He's pretty nimble and quick, putting up some points. Obviously, Ben put up the plus-minus report this week. You know, contributing pretty good minutes. So you can't really fault anyone in this team, to be honest with you. Everyone's chipping in. You know, Moller's just having a blinder of a year. Quani's doing some good minutes when he comes off. Lucas Walker is doing good minutes on the defensive end. So you've got a lot of depth in this team, which is going to be an asset going into the back end of the season, where maybe Bogut's a bit more tired. Maybe Jae'Sean Tate goes down. He plays such a physical style. I just expect him at one point just to go down with a niggle for a week or two. And that's kind of our solid glue guy.
He's pretty durable though. Like I don't feel like he plays crazy out of control, where you're always just going like, oh no, don't get injured. Like he always looks like he's pretty in control, and he's quite durable and beastly.
It's those drives to the hoop and the weird kick. It's not when he's trying to score, it's when he's trying to kick it out and he just goes flying through the air.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. A couple of times against Brisbane, he kind of went flying under the basket, and you were just like, "Ooh, shit!" But we hadn't really seen that to start the season. Speaking of Jae'Sean Tate, it's his birthday, and we should break out the Tim Tams. Everyone should have a Tim Tam. We've cracked them out. Oh, I noticed this at the start of the season. He was talking about, man, these Tim Tams, they're awesome. Like, why aren't these in America? And then he was like, I got to stop eating them, but man, I'm just plowing through these things. Like, keep the weight off me. It's fucking hilarious. And then all the memes on Twitter today were like just Tim Tam memes. So fire up the Tim Tams, and you and I aren't going to have a Tim Tam because, you know, it's rude to eat on stream, and we're trying to cut weight and lose a little bit of weight.
Yeah, I've had one too many Tim Tams this year already, so no thank you.
So yeah, it's good for Jae'Sean Tate. If you're watching too, you should like and share and subscribe to the channel. It's all the way across the bottom. We're on YouTube and iTunes later, just the audio. I'll release it after the podcast, and we're on Facebook at the moment. And then I've been doing some tweeting. It's pretty good, bringing in some new peeps. And also we have a Patreon up here. If you want to throw us some dollars, we're putting that money to getting us better hosting and making better podcasts. So we should get into the Brisbane game now. Like, it was a good game.
It was a good game. Dude,
garbage time. Welcome back. That was all I want to say about it, man. I'm so happy to just have garbage time back.
It's nice to actually get a bit of a blowout. This Brisbane team is missing Cam Bairstow pretty desperately.
You called it too, man. You said on the last one, you were just like, man, Brisbane are looking trash. And I'm like, Brisbane, not bad. Like, not a bad team. But man, they were awful, eh?
Sobey is a good player. Lamar Patterson is good, but a bit slow and lazy. And then Glidden's done nothing. Wagner can't shoot at all from the elbow and has no floater. So it's just dunk spot that he never gets to. And Mika Vakona's about 70 years old and completely useless.
Just
Ty
comes
Wesley.
off the bench and just barrels into dudes. Like I noticed,
Yeah.
like he came off the bench twice and then he had a charge on kick it where he just like put the head down LeBron style and just went bang and kick it went straight over. It wasn't even like a flop type charge. It was like he
No,
just put
just
the shoulder right into him.
a lot of offensive fouls this game though. A lot of offensive fouls called. Again, we had a mad rant in our NBA podcast about this. This must be like a worldwide phenomenon where there's just charges getting called left, right, and center.
Yeah, and
But
bad calls too. Like
yeah,
I don't know if it's players are getting more savvy and getting in front of guys quicker, but like 70% of the time they're just step across and they're still moving, yet get the call. And then FIBA's less about you were set and you got hit, and more about that was a bit hard, so it looked like a foul type of thing. I've noticed too. Like
less about the actual rules and more about the situational content. How far you go flying back, I think is, and players sell it, and it's getting a little bit flop lord for me, and I just don't like it. If you're going to take a charge, it's a strategic move on stopping a guy from getting a basket, going to the basket. If they can't do a Euro step, and if they plow through you, you've set the charge. That's a charge. You've taken a charge. It's a last man standing kind of thing before you get to the basket. But these charges coming around screens where guys are moving clearly and you're trying to get around the screen, oh, that's a charge. No, that's not a charge. He couldn't have got in front of you and planted his feet. He just went flying back because he moved around and you hit him. It's dumb. And that goes for both ways. I didn't, for Kings and for the Bullets and everyone in the league. It's stupid. Get rid of it. I hate that. If you're going to take the charge, it's a strategic move in the paint, not I've got barrel over because that guy's bigger than me. It's stupid.
And I've noticed like some of the bigs too in the league now are getting a little bit more savvy at just kind of getting their feet like at an angle, like in certain angles where guards have to come around and they clip people's feet a lot more. And it's a sort of an NBA thing where you see it a fair bit in the NBA that like the players are really good at avoiding the screens because they're good at kind of contorting their body around and kind of moving with the play. Whereas I find that watching the NBA, the players aren't really that good at kind of sliding through the contact. There's more jolting and jarring, bouncing, and that's where the rest are like, oh no, that's a bit too much contact. Like, and you're just like, God damn it. But we have a first green shirts rant. The two Bogut fouls basically ejecting him from the game. Both of those fouls, man. Diddy had one that was like 2 plays earlier that was worse than his one. Like, they just blatant tugged him, like pulled him back. That was just unsportsmanlike. Straight away went unsportsman. Damn, Diddy's going to cop that one. No, nothing. All right, sweet. And then when I saw Bogut's first one, like it just looked like he was going for the ball. Like, oh man.
Yeah, he didn't hold the play right up at all. He actually just went for the ball. It was obviously to hold the play up, but he kind of attacked the ball. That's not unsportsmanlike.
Nah.
You're going for the ball. If it's a foul, it's a foul.
I understand the ones where it's half court and they just grab a dude, like they pull on a guy but he like had his arm out and was stretching for the ball and maybe even got a little bit of the ball. Like, I didn't like that call at all, the first one. And then the second one, like, I've watched a lot more of the league this season, so I'm starting to see, right, there's bad calls all the time. And I've said this a couple of times this season where I was like, right, like the refs are pretty bad. Have you noticed that like they go to the video refs for just, and then you're like, yeah, that's not flagrant, man. What are we doing here? Like, why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
Like, this is just get on with the game. And then they're like, flagrant, absolutely terrible. And you're just like, what? Like his second one was just like, what? What are you guys doing?
It was a tussle between 2 big guys. That was it. It's 2 7-footers going at it. They both ended up on the floor. It should have just been probably a Bogut foul, but there was nothing malicious or he was just setting a kind of block out. You know,
it's kind of like people, like you watch it in slow-mo, and when guys get their arms up, like they're not throwing a bow, they're kind of just positioning to move a guy out of the way. And I've noticed he does it a lot, like not sneaky uses his arm, but he's just so long that he can kind of get his arm like into guys, and it's a real advantage when he's boxing out. But didn't like either of those calls, man. After what's been a pretty decent refereeing season, I haven't had any
too many complaints.
Nah, winning certainly helps as well.
Yeah, there hasn't been too many dodgy calls, but it didn't really tip the scales of the game. DD came on and hit a few points after that, and that was lights out. But you kind of think that in the scheme of things, it was pointless as well. The game was over by that stage, and it was just like, why are you sending him off? It's not in the spirit of the game to send him off. But I think these NBL refs are on such bad trips that it's just like they're a bit like they take it so serious. They're just like, whoa. they just look like clowns.
Yeah, for sure. And I said on the NBA pods, like the worst kind of ref is the one that like walks away. Like,
Yeah.
don't even talk to me, mate. And you're just like, man, you got to like liaise. Like, Will Weaver had one. Like, we'll go on next segment will be Will Weaver's motivational gems because like he's coming out with more gems in the huddle, man. He had one where it's just like, they're going to keep fluffing. They're going to keep fluffing all night. What we got to do is just not bite on it. We not let it get to us. It was hilarious, man. He's awesome. And
So
like, he was talking to the ref, like standing there, and then the ref just like walked past him while he's talking like mid sentence, and he's like doing these ones, like can you listen to what I'm saying? And the guy just walked off. I'm just like, man, that's such bad game management. At least listen to the guy and say, hey, Will, this is what happened. This is why I called it. But there'll be so many more of these this year. Just as we're talking about, some, I think Kenny just got thrown out of this game against Melbourne. He's waltzing off to the I don't know what he did. Anyway, back to Sobey. Last year, do you remember going back to last season? I felt like we didn't have an answer for him when we played Adelaide,
yes,
and like we couldn't stop him from basically just taking the ball and destroying guys with it. Whereas I noticed in this game, in the first couple of minutes, he had a drive on Diddy, and Diddy just stuffed him. And you could see like a look of fear on his face, like he stood up like with this look of like, oh, I'm not going to be able to score on this guy. And then I felt like he was super passive all night. Like he didn't really do that much. Like he had one or two.
He didn't get to the cup. It was all mid-range. It was all getting to the key, getting to the top of the key for the mid-range jumper. And it was pretty slick, but it wasn't. There was no and ones. There was no hype. It was just kind of, it was passive scoring, and it was pretty bad. I mean, good and bad. He's a good player, but
yeah,
the team needed.
I feel like he's a momentum. Like he's a momentum player. Like
yeah,
big things happen for him, and that drives the team. Like him settling for foul line jumpers, because you know that strategy is going to be when Bogut's on the floor. If you can kind of run off your first man off the screen, get to the foul line. Bogut doesn't really have the speed to come out and contest those smaller jump shooters. So obviously most teams are going to go, oh, if you can get off a high screen, get into the paint, but fake it and don't go into Bogut and shoot a kind of mid-range jumper. But there's no, like, you don't get annoyed about that. You're just like, yeah, just keep taking mid-range jumpers, Sobey. Like, great. Like, that's doing nothing for you. You're down 10. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like, what was I saying? Like Rob Lowe shooting threes. The same thing where you're just like, yeah, keep shooting threes, man. We want you to do that. Like, I feel like this team this year has got a bunch of wrinkles in their defense where you're just like, yeah, we want you to keep doing that. We'll go up the other end and we'll keep shooting threes and scoring the ball.
I think, it seems like Will Weaver funnels people into where he wants them to try and take the shot. It's like, yeah, you can just have that little piece over there where we won't contest, but, you know, that's a really low percentage and that's not going to win you the game. And it's not going to drive momentum and aggression. So it's kind of like they're uncontested. There's no the finish through the traffic. There's no and one. There's no hype. But, man, hasn't Kadee fallen from grace? He's just like, oh, yeah, I'm a starting point guard, and now I'm just 8 minutes of bench warming.
Yeah, how many minutes did he play in this game? Because I don't remember him doing very much. And I remember him as a, like, oh, you have to get out on him on the perimeter. Yeah, did he only have 8 minutes? No, he played 20 minutes in this game. Oh, 5. Wow. That's a terrible game. Yikes.
Irrelevant. Hashtag.
Yeah, like you're not even talking about him. That's how irrelevant he is. No more words about it at all.
No more words. It's all said. Let's get on to the some of the performances of the kids team. Lozada was good, man. Oh god,
dude, I was freaking out when he went down with that. Like it looked like a knee clash or something like that. He hit the floor and then took his shoe off, and that's a bad sign usually. Like if you think you can keep playing, you tighten your shoe up and you keep going. But when someone takes his shoe off and hobbles off the court, I was like, oh no, like that's a like, oh, you could be out for weeks type of like injury look. He ended up coming back out and playing really well as well. So
yeah, he ended up pretty much putting the nail in the coffin at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Defensively, it's just no guards can get past him, man. He's such a pest, such a menace and pest. And on the offense, he just that coast to coast. You know that the game was over when he's just like, all right, I'm just going to grab this rebound and I'm going to take it all the way to the cup, and no one's going to do a thing about it. And you can just watch all these Adelaide guys just like look at him as he blows by them. It's scarily good. If we had him, Lish, and Ware 1, 2, and 3 for the finals, and you're like, even I don't think a Cotton, White, Martin trio could beat that if that was on song.
It's. I
You,
would like to see them try. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be
yeah,
sitting there. I'd be sitting there going, "No, I want to see you," and I'd tip my hat. I'd be like, "Yes, well done. You've beat probably three of the best defenders in the league, pretty much guards." This again, Diddy, man, he's just so unassumingly big. And when I like saw that first play on Sobe, you just see how he's towering into him. Like, he kind of had his hand in and kind of holding, not holding his shorts, but in there, like kind of keeping him at arm's length by the shorts, and then still like didn't really have to go up and block him. Like, and I was like, the look of fear on Sobe's face, I was like, that was brilliant. Like, that's great. And but yeah, he played superbly well. So 21 minutes, 14 points, 6 of 9 from the field, 4 of 5 from 2. He's getting to the cup and shooting that mid-range really well. Missed his free throw after he got fouled as well. 2 of 4 from 3. The free ball, I don't think's all the way back yet. I still think his back's kind of giving him some trouble.
it is, but it's kind of you just put that away for the time being. Get everything else ready. His mid-range game's good. Man, he's going to be a good NBA player.
For sure.
He will be a good, solid NBA player, which is crazy to think that, he started here and he's going to have, 10, 15 years in the NBA pretty easily. Knock on wood, no injuries. But yeah, great player. But I have to keep giving up to Moller, man. Moller is just playing lights out week in, week out.
Defense, solid, just super solid defensively, eh? Like, that's,
Just,
I think, and
we just
yeah, you go.
we just had no one on the boards last year at all.
Nah.
No one on the boards, and now you've got 3 rebounders and 4. Newley's a good rebounder, and he's been more aggressive, but less just I'm just going to go downhill at all costs kind of thing. A bit smarter, just like, yeah, this is my bread and butter. This is when I go, and just fitting into the team more and not taking it out on his own. I think last year he was just, all right, I'm just getting to the cup no matter what. But he's just like, oh, there's 4 other scorers this year when we just had absolute trash imports last year.
Yeah, David Ware. I think, like, Newley, like we said at the start of this season, like, it just looks more chilled. And you're like, it doesn't matter that he can take a second, just, oh, you want me to go? I'll go? Yep, sweet, no worries. And, like, he already still has a step and a half on players when he does that. Like, I feel like so many players in this team, like Jae'Sean Tate can push the ball, Didi can push the ball, even Sean Bruce, when he's on the floor, pushes the ball really well. Moller can grab boards and push the ball. Like, all 4 of them just fit so well. And a few times last night, Saturday night, they had like 4-on-2 basically, like 4 guys just like licking their lips running up court. Whereas last year we didn't have that. Like, we'd have Randall as like, he'd run out in front of everyone and everyone else would be like huffing and puffing to try and catch up to him. Those fast breaks didn't really work as well. But
Ray puffed.
Ray puffed. How good was Rainbow Ray Turner, man? He was
Man, I
awesome.
got to get off the court. I'm too tired.
Yeah,
Can I have a sub?
in his first game, man, he called for that. That was gold, man, gold. Ended up minus 25 on the season, so came in and basically did nothing for us. But he wasn't too bad. He was all right.
My 4-8 to professional basketball is like, nah, man, I gotta call this one. Time.
So what have we got? What else have we got? So Moller, yeah, I think he's gluing. Again, I could talk about this, the horizontal spacing, man. He fits the floor. And these lineups, like last year, I was looking at the plus minus for the box scores, and it was obvious Kickett didn't have somebody there to help him rebound the ball. Whereas this year, like, he's playing in lineups with Jae'Sean Tate a lot, and it's very rare that he and Jae'Sean Tate aren't on the court, because Jae'Sean Tate just eats up all the space around a guy, where it doesn't mean Kickett, like last year would have had to go, oh, I have to box out and rebound. This year it's just like, I don't have to box out. I just have to stand here, wait for Jae'Sean Tate to do all the work and just grab the rebound and either go, or I don't even need to rebound. And that's perfect, man. And I think it's fitting Kickett a lot better. He played quite well. He had 4 of 4 on the night. 3 of 3 from 3, lights out. I think Death, Taxes, and Daniel Kickett at the 10 o'clock spot with his feet set.
He gets back to being that stretch 4, and it's kind of that Jae'Sean Tate's that 5 on defense, and Kickett's just a body in the way that's 6'10", and he doesn't have to do any of the the physical work and can just trail down, get set, shoot the ball. Whereas last year it was kind of like you're the 5, and David Ware's like crying in the corner over there somewhere about something. It was just when you get good imports, and good players on your team, like you take Moller over David Ware. Jeez, that's saying something. Like,
Yeah.
Moller is such a much better player than David Ware and he was an import. That's how bad he was.
And are we like? Sometimes I look at Moller and go, oh, maybe we just, he came into the season, we were unaware of what he could be. And I think, like, part of how good we've been this season has been guys where you're like, oh, I don't know where this guy fits. He actually fits right there. How good is this? He's doing this, 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 and this, and it's allowing everyone else to do everything. And I think that's a real bright spot of the season, like a real new thing for this season. Because last year we had, like, the same things kept happening, the same things over and over, and you were just like, can you just solve this spot here, please? And then I think this season, like, Jae'Sean Tate, obviously, we should talk about him. He had another monster night. He's just absolutely killing it. 27 minutes, 10 points, 3 of 5. Another pump fake yet again where dudes just fly through the air and he goes,
3 of them.
Thank you. Yeah. I haven't seen a game where nobody's bitten on his pump fake yet. It's just crazy to watch. 3 of 5 from the field. A couple of sweet threes too. Like, I love that he will just tuck the 3 ball into his pocket if he doesn't need it. He'll just, yep, no worries, it's all good. But a couple of times he's calling for it. He's wide open and guys aren't closing out, and I'll shoot it and bang, 2 of 3. He has a good night, and they were momentum buckets as well. 5 rebounds again, 4 dimes again, just all around absolute glue guy, man. Just crushing it, absolutely crushing it. He is.
I was obviously listening on the telecast that he was actually scouted by Brisbane Bullets first, and it was Bogut that convinced him to come to Sydney and who would not stay in Brisbane Vegas, and he would have fit that team as well, but he just fits our team so much better. Such an integral part of this year, and looks really good, and looks like he's just going to be he's going to be an MVP contender. I don't see how he's not in that respect. I mean, stats wise, yeah, he's not going to put up 40 points a game, but I don't think that necessarily makes you an MVP.
I don't think in the eyes of the league, I don't think that's going to make him like get in the conversation. Like, he's doing too many too many glue things that don't really mean things to the wider sort of gallery of the NBA. The NBL.
Maybe is this like a players player award? Maybe it's a players player award that might galvanate his grandeur of what he's doing for the Sydney Kings.
Maybe he'll win the on the Kings dime MVP 3-2-1. A couple of quick things before we get to that. Any other stats? I just lost the window. I'm going to take. Stats. Casper Ware kind of back. 3 ball was back a little bit. Just takes too many threes, man. I just want to see him.
Takes too many silly shots. Yeah,
tuck just 4 or 5 of those back in the pocket, man, and just go. No, I'll give it
better shots.
Yeah,
get better shots. Give it to guys that are going to get inside. Give it to DD, or even run just a quick pick and roll. Bogut looked great this game until he got bloody. He just looked like he just dominated the 5, both on offensive and defense.
I think we were saying similar things last year where, they don't have a guy. And even when they had Bairstow, it was like, they just don't have that vertical space guy to take care of Bogut. And Bogut's kind of just on every time and no double coverage. Because I don't know if you do, like, in the scouting report, double cover Bogut, really. Is his offense good enough where you just like, we have to scheme something for Bogut when he's in the post? You kind of just are like, go one-on-one and see what he can do, because it's kind of not the highest percentage offense, really. But he's passing, man. Sorry, his passing is just unbelievable. His
passing is unbelievable. It's kind of one of those things that, but when he's on, he's kind of destroy you, and then you have to switch to that double spacing. It's not, you just can't let him get within, a floater's position of, you have to close the space so he doesn't get into it. But the problem is he's passing so good. As soon as you double team him, he's going to kick it to someone, and he's not selfish. He's not going there to score. He's going there to get the best shot for the the run, and so he'll just kick it to someone who's going to shoot the ball and score a 3. So you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not something you can really scheme. His chemistry looks like it's getting a little better with Casper Ware. He had a nice lob. Didi had a nice lob to Jae'Sean Tate as well. It's that short roll where, when you've got Bogut in the team, like, he's got to make that real high arcing sort of lane to the hoop for the lob, where Jae'Sean Tate, like, offered just a pretty simple pick and roll. The guy went under and then tried to hedge off a Diddy, and he was just like straight over the top to Jae'Sean Tate to finish that hoop. Team stats, we shot the 3 ball quite well in this game, 44% from 3, 63% from 2. That was pretty good to see. 44 rebounds. Offensive boards, total rebounds. I'm just looking at the box score here. offensive boards this year. Only this game, only 6 in this game, but we've been offensive rebounding at a quite high rate. The big thing in this game was we shot the ball really well, so we were picking the ball out of the net, basically not having to rebound that much on the offensive end. And we should go quickly to the 3-2-1 MVP for this season.
You go first.
Oh man, I still not sure. I just don't really want to give it to Casper Ware. I kind of I feel like I'm being a bit biased when I'm just saying Jae'Sean Tate lose this team together and he should get the 3 points in this game. But I'm gonna go Diddy, I think, for his scoring. I'm gonna go Casper Ware. Look, give it to him. His first time this season, he played really well. It got us off to that fast start. Yeah, Casper Ware 3 points for me. What about you? That's tough, man, because everyone played so well. Everyone played
so well. It's kind of like if Bogut was on the floor, he just, his stats would have just kept going up. I'm going to give it to 3 points to Jae'Sean Tate.
JT, bam.
Just those 2 threes at the big time, getting some big and ones, defensively just blocking out.
2 points, JT for me.
Casper Ware for me.
Casper Ware, little split there, and the one.
Lazada.
Yeah, Diddy. I like Diddy for 1 point. There you go. It's locked in. Should we go to predictions for next week? Round 5. Slightly shorter round. The Taipans is quarter 4 at the moment. It's 75-68 to the Taipans. So the Taipans coming up with the goods, man.
It's good to see.
They're first out of the gate. Taipans at the Breakers.
I'm gonna go Taipans. Oh, so it's in New Zealand, though, isn't it?
NZ. Shortish turnaround too. It looks like.
Yeah, I'll go Breakers then.
Yeah, I'm going Breakers as well. Breakers. NZB. Perth at the Bullets.
Perth.
Melbourne United at the Phoenix. Another Melbourne fling. What are they calling it? The Melbourne Bash or something?
I'm gonna go United.
United. They're gonna bounce back.
Yeah.
Southeast for me. The Sem. Kings at the 36ers. First of our away tough game. Man, the 36ers aren't looking too bad. Little two-man stuff with Jerome Randall and DJ.
Daniel Johnson. Yeah, I think that we're going to blitz them, so I'm going to say Kings.
Kings for me as well. Though I would not be surprised if Adelaide win this game. In Adelaide, bit of a bounce back after we beat them in round 2. Adelaide's have you noticed Adelaide have got new rims as well? Like last year's really crappy YMCA rims are gone. They've got an actual proper set of baskets. This is good to see. A little bit of money being spent there. Perth at the Breakers.
Perth in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Well, that's an 8-hour trip.
Oof.
I'm going to go Breakers.
Is it an 8-hour trip? Because they
is it in New Zealand?
Just played the Phoenix, but maybe they fly over there from Melbourne and just chill out over there.
Yeah, maybe that is. All right, I'll go Perth then.
Yeah, Perth. Yeah. Perth for me as well. Bullets at the Hawks. The Hawks, man. Bullets.
The Hawks is just going to be terrible.
Yeah, I know. It sucks, man. They had such a decent outlook in their team. I'm going Hawks. Just a sneaky, the Bullets feeling sorry for themselves, just fall in a hole and lose another one. And then second game of the round, the big one, Kings at Melbourne.
Kings
for me. I think we're just going to take L's when the Kings lose. And that's the round. And I'm not even going to read out my score because I'm clearly terrible at tipping and losing. So there you go. I think you're on 12 or something like that. Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, not bad.
Preview the next couple of games and then wrap it up.
Yeah, so 36ers, like I've already just said, I can see them. They look good, man. Solid. Their import too is playing quite well. I just think
that every time Casper Ware plays Randall, he always gets the better of Randall. And I think this is going to be no different in situation. DJ and Harry Froling are going to be a bit more to handle for Bogut, but we just trounced them so easily last time. And I don't see that changing with the momentum that we've got. And I don't think they have an answer for Jae'Sean Tate either.
Yeah. Kobe Che, I think he's now Kobe Che or something like that. Just looking up their roster. part of the fun of on the King's Dime is us just completely bricking guys' names. So yeah, like come at us if you think it's funny that we can't pronounce guys' names. We love it. We just laugh it off. Adelaide 36's roster. I think it's Kovice or Kovice. He looked decent against us last time. He's playing quite well. I can't think of what their right or someone is their other forward. He's looked quite good. He fouled out of the last game. Come on. Isn't there anything faster than the internet here? Players. Oh, Eric Griffin. That's who it is. And
Kovice.
Kovice?
Eric Griffin.
Anthony Drumic actually has also been playing quite well. I don't know, man. Froling, like, I just don't know about Froling.
He's just fallen in a heap, eh? Yeah. He was looking so promising, and then it's just like maybe the sadness of being locked into his contract at Adelaide and not being able to play Summer League was just like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, man, this sadness. And he was wearing the Fat Man Rashi as well in the last game too. Did you see that? I was like, what's up with that, man? Like, why you look like an old man, like an old dad on the beach? I think we could probably just beat the 36ers, but I don't know. In Adelaide, I always get that little sense of like, man, Adelaide's a tough crowd to play against. They had the wood over us for a while. We broke that hoodoo last year, obviously, with that crazy Brad Newley and David Ware headband games where Newley just went off. I think he had like a career high, almost 28 points. I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough game.
Tough game, but I think that I'd just like us to see a team get on top. Like there's not a really game except Cairns, which is the first game where we haven't been like, ooh, we might lose this. It's just been like, yeah, this game's over. Pretty much halfway through the second quarter, we're like, they're not really got anything on here. Even if they get a little bit hot, it doesn't seem like they can stop us defensively. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the more interesting matchup is going to be Melbourne. A lot more to prove, and typically been our bogey team over the years as well. So
they're always up for it too. Like they're going staring down the barrel of losing this game against Kansas, 80-70 at the moment. Like last year, the first two games, I still felt like when we played Melbourne, they were playing a little bit like, oh, we're barely holding this team off, man. Like, you know, and then we ended up winning the game sort of towards the end of the season at home, which was kind of like we destroyed them. And then they were even like, whatever. And then they just like smashed us in those two final games. So it's kind of always a weird thing. Like when they're really up for it and locked in, they look great. But when they're not, like I feel like they're quite beatable. And if they're going into this game 1-4, like, or they might even be 1-5 if they lose against the South East Melbourne Phoenix, man. Oof, like that's a horrible start to the season.
It is. It's a weird top four to begin with. Like, there's been a lot of L's, and it's really just Perth, Sem, and the Kings that are just kind of leading the pack.
I'll just look at the ladder at the moment. Kings on top, 5 from 5. Perth played 6 but lost 1, so they're 5-1. Then South East Melbourne and Adelaide out of nowhere. But that middle of the road, like Bullets, Breakers, Melbourne, you know what I mean? Like you expect Melbourne to kind of be where Adelaide is, but yet they're, you know, staring down the barrel of 1-4.
I'm rooting for Cairns, man. I want to see Cairns make the finals.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to make the finals. They're 1-4 already, so they'll be 2-4 if they win this game.
Yeah, but they've beaten like two pretty good teams.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we need to go through before we wrap this one up?
That's it, mate. I think that it is a done.
Yeah, it's a great start of the season. You know, Will Weaver too. We haven't spoken highly enough of him. You know, it's been the perfect, just X's and O's, absolute class in the interviews too. He's just always class. Such a deep thinker. You know, always has the right answers. Very savvy, very media savvy, and you know, reaping the rewards.
Just a professional. Never his hands in his head, and never just looking and swearing on the sidelines for just absolutely no reason.
Gazy.
Love Jae'sean, man. Just not. It
was funny though, man. Come on, it was funny seeing him just standing there like this, like. A couple of times, man, watching some of that footage, man. I'll try and dig it up with the ones where he's like tugs, and then he's just like go and get some off the bench and just rips him out of the game straight away. I was like, oh, I didn't see that in the transgressions from last season.
We should give a Tugs update. He has not played any minutes and the pace is horrible. So
yeah, man. But oh, man, drilling into it last season, I don't think he was like that great. But juxtapose that with the platform, we didn't really give him the platform to expose himself.
Not at all, man. He was this plug-in for like 12 minutes a game. You just do this. You don't go outside. There's no creativity. I do like the fact that sometimes Lozada just like, all right, I'm just going to take this. And you're like, yeah, that's mad. Like, yeah, do that. I think we want to see that. Whereas last year, Tugs are creative and then you just get yanked. It's like, that's not what I told you to do. Get out.
Yeah. Or he'd give up the ball and then stand in the corner and you just be like, you're on a fast break, man. What are you doing? Like, why are you giving up the ball there type of thing? So that's why I really like Diddy, and I think he fits the team better. That's why I was really worried when I thought he was injured, man. I was like, oh no, with Leach injured as well. All right, we should wrap it here. We will be back. We're going to try and live stream for the away game against the 36ers. I might try and do it. I don't know how don't know how I'm going to fit you in. Like, if we're watching at the same time, I don't know if that's going to work. Like, you'll be a bit behind, and then because I noticed like the NBN when you stream it on KO, it's in front of the actual Foxtel feed. Like, people watching on a Foxtel box are behind the KO feed.
Wow.
Like, that's unheard of, man. Usually it's like the cable service is like way ahead of any streaming service. It's crazy.
So it's good technology, the old KO Sports. KO. We're plugging the KO Sports, man.
Yeah, KO Sports. Give us money. All right, well, we'll see you guys next time on the King's Dime. Say good night, and hopefully we're going for 6-0 against Adelaide. So take it easy, everyone. Have a good night.
Peace.